if I'm stumbling over myself and I don't know what I'm talking about, why wouldn't you just let me finish my sentence?
Focus on the actual point, buddy.
If you would let me finish my sentence, then
Focus
I
up.
probably would. Okay, just to be clear, if you interrupt me again, I'm just gonna mute you. Okay?
So you're gonna be dodging?
No. Go ahead and ask the question again.
Wait, should we do the talking stick? Hold up, everyone.
Yes, that'd be very. I would
Everyone
love a
vote in
talking
post.
stick.
We're doing talking sticks, so I'll just let
talking sticks.
Holy shit, let's go.
Okay, so do you want me to flip a coin who gets a talking stick?
He can go first.
Okay, go ahead, Gadfly.
Yeah, so in this conversation, this guy's already contradicted himself like 38 times, right? He's not even tracking what the issue is. So far, he's not even just been able to concede that I'm correct on this issue. It's obvious that I'm correct, that we can move back to the original point. I'm just waiting for this guy to actually give some clear, substantive argumentation against what I'm stating, by the way.
Can we mute this other guy that just interjected?
Yeah, go ahead, fucking Barce.
Okay. So just to be clear, did you or did you not say that I can't know what the Trump administration, if the Trump administration's purported goals are true?
Yeah, that was never what was stated, by the way. Everyone has this in their recollection.
Okay, so you're walking that back.
Calm down there. Calm down there. Everyone has this in their recollection beside you because you're a dumbass, right? The question that I asked to you was, do you know what the Trump admin's goals are for the tariffs they're implementing? You said no, so that's what we started running with, right? Because you're the one who said no. That's why we have a fucking poll in the side chat where it's 100% that you actually did say this, and we have the recording. So no, I didn't say you can't know. I said you don't know because you said yourself you didn't know.
Okay, great. So you're referring to a different part of the conversation, just to be clear. But either way, that's perfectly fine. So we agree that, like, if the Trump administration says that they're implementing tariffs for X, Y, and Z reason, is it reasonable to say that we know that they're doing it for at least X, Y, or Z reason?
Claim, and we
That was a question.
If you walk back your initial claim, sure.
Yo, what's up?
That would
Wait,
just
why would I have to walk back?
Conceding,
Wait,
right?
why would I have to walk back my initial claim? Because we still
Yeah,
don't
your
know.
initial claim was.
Yeah, I know.
Your initial claim was that you don't know, and now you're saying that you could know because it's in the set of reasons. That's just not going to work, right? You already admitted you don't know, so you just.
Okay, sure. I guess that's different semantics. What I meant when it was I could know. That is what I meant then.
No, the question was, do you know? And the answer that you gave to that was no.
Well, because you said yes or no, right? I guess the answer is I could know.
Do you think when I asking you, do you know X, I'm asking if you could know X, or am I asking if you currently now know X?
You were asking me a yes or no question as a false dichotomy.
Are you asking whether or not you know X is a false dichotomy when we're asking yes or no?
No, I guess, but in the context of the conversation, yes.
No, because the question was literally just that. It was, do you know the Trump admin's goals?
Yeah, the answer is I could know.
No, the answer to that is no, because you currently don't know now. That's what it's indexed towards. So if what you're stating now is that you do know, which it seems like what you're stating, because now you're going from, we actually have a set of goals.
I didn't say that I do know, though. I said I could know.
You just said you have some set of goals and you're evaluating based on that set.
Yes, that is I don't know which one is the right one. I don't know what is.
Yeah,
the
but you
true
know
goal.
at least one of them is right, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you do know. Are you fucking stupid?
Wait, no, but you still don't know which is the goal.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask you a straightforward question.
Okay.
Do you know what the goals are for the particular tariffs that were implemented by Trump admin?
I could.
I'm asking if you currently know now.
Do I currently know what the goals are?
That's the question, buddy.
I could.
Barce, come on, bro, come on.
Was that not? Is that not like a?
Everyone sees the dodge, by the way. Everyone sees the dodge.
Is that a dodge? How's that a dodge?
Yeah, the question is if you currently know now, and you're saying you could know. That's not an answer to the question.
Well, I don't know which is the. Can I? Okay, I guess the answer is yes. Then yes.
Okay, so that's just a straightforward contradiction.
Sorry, what's that?
That's a contradiction.
That's just a straightforward contradiction to your original point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're admitting you contradict yourself on this point?
Sure.
All right, so what are the goals that you have in mind?
The goals so far have been 1, it's a negotiating tactic. 2, bring back American manufacturing. And 3, national defense. Or national security.
All right, so can you actually show me evidence?
And then also revenue. And abolishing the income tax.
All right, can you show me evidence for the first one?
Yeah, sure. Wait, hold on. Do I have to like link evidence, or can I just say like, have you been keeping up? I'm sure you've been keeping up with Trump,
Yeah,
right?
we're just looking for the actual evidence that everyone can look at and read in the side chat.
All right. This is really gay. I can't just be like, yo, Trump has been talking about using
But we
these
need to
tariffs
know when he talked
negotiation.
about this, what you're exactly quoting. Obviously.
Yeah, cite your source.
This is
Yeah,
a
that's
bad.
Sensei.
Barce.
We're waiting for Barce. How's everyone been? How has everyone's day been? Holy fucking shit.
It's been perfect.
Yeah, whatever, you're a pedophile.
Hey, keep calm down. Like, holy fucking shit.
Whoa, Sensei, calm down there, buddy.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to have to give you.
You stole my PFP. Sensei,
5-year-olds, you're a piece of shit, Sensei.
You stole my PFP.
Yeah,
bro.
this spanking faint. Don't worry, it's gonna be your like fourth spanking from me. I'll put baby
Oh,
powder on your.
Hey, Sensei, can you tell me why you're stealing my PFPs, by the way? Go ahead.
Am I supposed to take it serious?
you're lagging, buddy. Go
Yeah,
ahead and fix
it'll
your
be
shitty
fine.
internet.
Yeah, it's the guy. Yeah, the guy asking to take us serious has laggy ass internet. We ought not to take him serious. You should get better internet, buddy.
Free my boy.
Dude, Barce is locked in.
Yo, Barce is fucking finding the source, bro. Hold
He's getting that
Scouring the
shit.
internet.
up.
Be like, give me, put that fucking source in the goddamn table. Read that shit, Gadfly.
Man, you just
Should be
use
easy. They
ChatGPT.
post about it. They post about it like every day on CNN. Yeah, just use ChatGPT. Yeah. Wait, is Black Man in here? Wait, who was that?
Yeah,
Is that-
that's
is
my
that-
boy,
That's
Black Man.
Buck
Destiny?
Aristotle.
Let's go, Aristotle. Damn, I fucking missed that
What?
guy. That's cool as fuck.
Thoughts slip away as the self is discovered.
Yeah, but by the way, every time you see me mute, it's because I'm laughing my ass off. Like I can't.
Are you laughing right now?
Yeah,
Are you not
bro,
laughing?
I've been laughing this whole debate.
He's back, he's back, he's back.
All
Don't go
right,
mute.
that is Scott Bessent, saying that it's a negotiating tactic.
Yeah. If Buff Aristotle's about to drop a nuke,
Gonna
something
look into
very
this. So exactly what's
inspirational.
the thing you're quoting from this, Bellum?
It says strategic uncertainty is a negotiating tactic.
Let me get the exact quote and send it in the side chat if this is what you're referring to.
Do you want me to that or?
Why is it so quiet?
Because
Shut
you're
up.
debating. Shut the fuck up.
Sorry, my bad. Apologies.
Mute up. Angels, meet up. Now.
I can self-mute.
So is that
Yes.
the quote you're referring to from the article?
No. I can say the quote again for you. Okay. I'll say it slowly. This. Control F. Type in strategic uncertainty is a
I uploaded it. Just knew the end Gadfly.
All right, yo. So you're referring to this exact quote, right? Okay, so are you stating that it is actually not the case that these are being used for strategic gains?
I mean, it could be.
Do you think it is unreasonable to say that Trump has negotiated some things in virtue of the tariffs?
Yeah, he's certainly negotiated something.
Okay, so then what does it mean for this goal to not be met?
The negotiations seem to be like here's the I guess I'll make a broader claim that'll answer that question. The reason why it's weird, or I guess why it doesn't make any sense, is because for whatever he negotiated right now, so far it's only the UK. For whatever he's negotiated so far, it seems incredibly small compared to how much America's lost, and I guess the entire world has lost. And if this is a negotiating tactic, then it undermines the other things that he stated they are.
Hello? Well, just to be clear, under your view, given the first goal, it would actually be the case that Trump has met that goal because he's established certain deals in virtue of the tariffs. So goal one would have been met considering what you just said. What you just said was like sort of damage control to explain away this sort of first goal, which is, oh, well, it's not that good in all aspects, everything considered, it's not that good of a deal
Right,
or
right.
something
But
like this.
to be clear, right, like it would, it's I don't know how to explain this. Let me think of an analogy.
I mean, why would you need an analogy for this? It's straightforward.
It's kinda
It's
easy.
that we
It's
have
like
we
if
have the goal that you stated. You just admitted that that goal has actually been met in virtue of the
okay,
tariffs.
you know what it's like? It's like if I'm with your mom, right, and we're going to the store, and then she tells me that like I should barter a little bit. I should like haggle the guy. And then when I go in, she tells me to negotiate, and I go inside and I pull out a gun and I tell him to give me everything. Like, yeah, I did negotiate, not in the traditional sense, but I negotiated, right?
Hello, that doesn't answer anything. The point here was that you gave a goal here, the first goal, and you just conceded that the first goal actually has been satisfied in virtue of the
Do you
tariff
agree that
in at
robbing a
least some
store at
regard.
gunpoint? Do you agree that robbing a
I'm not
store
sure
at
what you think the analogy is going to do here. This would
wait,
just
I'm
mean,
just asking you a question. I'm just
under your
asking you a
view, this
question.
would just mean that
Hey,
Trump
why are you
has
dodging?
actually met the goal.
Try not to dodge, okay? I have a question. Do you think that robbing a store at gunpoint is a negotiation tactic?
Depends on your semantics of negotiation.
Under your
It can
semantic.
be.
Under yours.
Yeah, it's possible for it to be some sort of
Okay.
negotiation.
Okay. Then I'll concede that it's a negotiation tactic in some capacity.
But just to be clear, do you think
Same
that
way robbing a store is.
leveraging, hold on, just to be clear, do you think that leveraging is not a negotiation tactic in terms of what Trump's doing?
Of course it is.
And he actually has he
Leveraging
actually,
a
hold
Glock
on,
9 is
just to
also
be
a
clear,
negotiating tactic. Yeah.
I don't know why you're bringing up the analogy. Focus on the actual state of affairs
I
here.
already wait.
Right?
Did I not
In
already
regard,
agree? Oh, wait, hold on.
okay, so
I think might be stuck in
that
the past.
so you're agreeing that Trump has met this goal.
In the same way that robbing a store is meeting the goal, yes.
So Trump has satisfied one of the goals in virtue of the tariffs.
Yes. In the same way
You
as
understand that's just going to be a concession, right?
how is that a concession? To be clear,
Because you said he didn't do that
when did I say that?
earlier when I asked you, how do we know that Trump has not met these goals in virtue of what success criterion? And you
Yeah.
said, well, because we know what his goals are that he's proposed, right? And we can know the success criterion for those goals, right? In which case he has not succeeded in them. But now you're
I did
stating,
say that
now you're
last part. I
saying,
did not say that last part, to be clear. I said that we can evaluate how those things are being met based off of his actions. That was my wording.
so
To
your
be clear.
claim, you never made anything along the lines of claiming that Trump's goals are not being met.
Um. Yeah, I don't think I did. Not. I didn't say that
That's
necessarily.
hilarious. That's hilarious, by the way. So on the first point, you're conceding that Trump has actually met that goal.
Not sure why we're calling it a concession if we just agreed that I didn't actually necessarily
No, we
say
didn't
that.
agree with that. I actually
Okay,
do. I
that's
have
fine.
good reason to believe that you actually did say something along the lines of what I just
I have
said.
good reason
Right.
to believe that you're
So
5'4". To be clear.
yeah, that's all fine. You don't want to get rhetorical. You lose in that regard. Okay. So listen. All right. As I was stating previously,
Okay.
first point has been met. The goal's met. Second point. Yeah. What's going to be the argument that that's not going to be met or hasn't been met in some regard?
Um, in and you know what? Actually, how about this? Okay, I'll just I'll walk back everything and I'll do a caveat and I'll add the
So
caveat.
that's like the second
Oh
contradiction in this
wait,
conversation.
hold on. Just to be clear, the caveat's gonna be in any meaningful or effective way. Okay.
So just to
Because
be clear,
you're just gonna play semantics the whole
you
time.
walk
This
back
kind of like blocks you off from doing
that
that.
wasn't. Hold on, just to be clear, what happened here was relatively simple, and you will learn from a guy like me in terms of debating. I asked you what you mean by the terms, and then I pointed out how, under your view, you agree that he actually has done these things. So it's not merely like we're arguing about the semantics. Oh, what does this word mean? And I'm
No,
disagreeing.
it is. It
I'm
is.
working. Calm down there. I'm
It
working
is
within
a
your
semantic thing.
paradigm, right? And I'm saying, under your own view, it is the case that Trump has done this.
No, that's not. Well, I mean, sure. Yes, you're right. Actually, to be clear,
Okay,
that is
so
what's
now you're
happening.
changing. So now you're
Hold on.
conceding on this
I
entire
just let
point
you
now.
talk.
Okay.
I just let you talk. Okay. Let me talk. The issue is that you look, as much as you would never admit it, the issue is you are playing a semantic game because you know that when I say negotiation tactic, I'm not referring to robbing a store for a chocolate bar, right? Nobody's ever thinking of that when they say negotiation tactic. However, under your semantics, robbing a store for a chocolate bar can be a negotiation tactic. So to head off this entire like weird game that we're gonna play, I'll just say in any effective or meaningful way.
Hold on. Under those semantics, it's also not going to be clear that one is not being met. So, do you think that leveraging tariffs is not a way to strategically get something that you want done?
Yes, but but the question is whether or not what you want is beneficial for the United States.
It seems like you already agree that you're now just walking back all four of these claims in terms of
Not
they're
even
not
close.
goals that are being
Not even
met.
close.
That's literally what
Not
you
even
said. You
close.
said we're taking this all off the table.
No. I said that. Wait, I'm sorry. Repeat what I said again.
You said something along the lines of we're taking all of this off the table, something like scratch this all off or something along those lines.
So you were not tracking. Okay, that's fine. I'll repeat it for you
You
the
can
second
go
time.
back in the
But
recording. Literally
yeah,
just send the recording. If anyone's
okay.
recording, you can just send what he
I have.
stated.
I mean, I have it. I have it right
After he
here.
realized once we went step by step, it'd probably be the case that he wouldn't be able to argue that Trump hasn't met that goal yet, or that it won't
Wait.
be met, or something along these lines. He just
Wait.
backtracked.
All right. Just to
He
be
did the same thing
clear.
on the first point. We can just get the recording.
Just to be clear, I'll repeat it again. If you don't remember me saying this, then I will pull up. I'm asking you a question.
Yeah,
Do you
I
remember
agree
what the
that
question
we
was?
can add in the
Okay,
caveat.
great.
That's not going to change what I said.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so you're walking back these and you're giving us a new claim, correct?
Yes, with a caveat.
Okay, so exactly what is the caveat now?
In
Let's
any
get it in clear and
effective or
precise
meaningful
terms.
way.
So Trump's goals are not being met in any effective way. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, effective meaning beneficial to the United States, or I guess let's say largely beneficial to the United States, and meaningful meaning in some capacity. Um, how do you define that? I don't know. Look, I'll ask you this in good faith then. I don't want to say it's a negotiation because I don't know the proper semantics for the situation. I don't want to say it's a negotiation tactic, and then you say, "Oh well, if he negotiated a Lego from Taiwan, then that means that he's obviously successful in it being a negotiation tactic." How would I caveat? Or sorry, yeah, how would I properly
Are you
caveat
asking
that?
me for help?
Yes, I don't know the semantics. I'm not like
You're trolling, right?
I'm not a Phil, bro. Wait, what
You're
do you mean?
trolling,
Wait,
right?
I'm sorry. Just to be clear,
We're in the middle of the debate. You've conceded twice, and now you're asking me for help. Listen, man, if you want to have a good faith dialectic here and you don't really care about looking
no. I
good,
want to stay in
then
the
that's
debate. I
fine.
just
However,
wait,
you
no.
look horrible right now.
Hold
This is
on.
a bad look.
I don't really wait. First of all, I don't care how I'm gonna look on Discord. First of all, second of all, I'm asking you the question so that we can continue the discussion. If you want to answer it, you can. If you don't, then I
Yeah,
can
that's
like
going
kind
to
of
depend
listen.
upon your semantics, bro. If you don't even know how to word yourself in such a way to not like make it so what you're saying is trivially
Well, it's
false,
because you're being
then that's just your
it's
issue.
because you're being like insanely pedantic with your wording. Like there's no way to have an actual conversation.
Listen. If I
No
were to be
semantics.
insanely, I'll explain what's happening here. If I were to be insanely pedantic, what I'd be
Semantic.
doing is
Semantic.
asking. Okay, so if I were to be quote insanely semantic, I'd be asking you about like more trivial words. But I'm asking you about substantial words to know exactly what you mean and to know exactly what you're saying is true or false. It's not being like
Uh,
overly semantical to ask you, okay, what does this word mean? And in order for this to happen,
yeah,
what would
yeah,
need to
sure,
happen?
sure,
That's just
sure.
sort of basic stuff.
Like on some level, actually, I do agree with that. But the problem is that like you're also there's another way that you can be semantic in which you're not asking me, okay, well, what do you mean by okay, what do you mean by it? Instead, you're just like taking what I say to yo, what's good, bro? You're just taking what I say to like some really weird extreme. Like
No, it's not
if
the
I
code
wait, wait,
extreme.
hold on.
I'm asking
If
you
I
what the word means and what it means for that
yeah,
word to be
sure, sure.
satisfied in
But
some condition.
if I say it's a negotiation tactic, and then you say, oh yeah, like okay, hypothetically, right? Let's imagine this scenario, okay? Let's say instead of like getting tariffs and on the UK and stuff, and the trade deal that happened with the UK, let's say instead the UK just sent us one Lego, and the United States paid for its transportation via Air Force, okay? Would you agree that that is a negotiation tactic?
If he used the tariffs for that.
Yes, but that's what you would be arguing to me that it's a negotiation tactic, correct?
Yeah, it was used for this
Okay.
negotiation. I mean, that's just sort of
I want
trivially
to
true.
avoid that. I want to avoid that. I want to completely avoid that like
Well, it seems like
retarded
you'd
part of
agree
the
with that,
conversation.
but you don't want to include that because you're making a bigger claim than like just some sort of small scale
Yeah,
things that
probably.
happen.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, probably. That is what I'm saying. But I guess like like I don't know. Look, here's what I'll say. We can have a good faith dialectic while also like quote unquote like looking good, right? Like you can still look good if you just like engage like a human instead of like this
Dude,
gay
well,
shit.
I've engaged relatively
No,
simple here.
this is
I've just
this is
asked you.
robotic. This is robotic.
No,
I'm
no. This
just
is
to be clear.
you're probably just used to debating like natural language demons who just like let you slide with a bunch of words and then never get clear on what any of the fucking words mean. So we have no fucking clue what the success criterion is for any of the fucking words. I've done so far in this conversation is just ask you what do you mean by this and what does it mean for this to be met?
Okay, yeah, okay. Then here's the other problem, right? Let's say I put effective, right? Let's say it's a it's an effective negotiation tactic, okay? Now, when I say effective you're gonna say, what do you mean effective? Okay. Well, by effective, I mean it benefits the United States. Okay, benefits the United States in what way? Fiscally. Okay, to what extent? Right? Like, how could I ever? It's like almost impossible for me to like draw a line there that would like comport to some sort of definition that you wouldn't be able to just scrutinize till its death.
Okay, listen, man.
Do you understand what I mean when
Yeah,
I
I
say that?
understand. I
Okay.
understand. You're just agreeing with what I said, right? You're a natural language demon. But listen, right? The issue that I'm seeing here is that we don't even have a clear understanding of what Trump needs to do in order for his goals to be met, which is a huge issue. You'd agree with that, right?
No, I don't think so. I think in on I think like
Yo.
surface level, what you're saying is like
You'll ban
probably
her.
what you're saying is like on a surface level, like it can be viewed as true, but then like on a principled level, what you're saying is completely false. Because if Donald Trump did do the thing where he flew in a Lego on Air Force One from the UK and imposed tariffs and lost like $3
Yeah, but
trillion
in the real
dollars,
world, we'd agree that some of his negotiations in virtue of tariffs are like substantially more beneficial than just a Lego, right?
yes, of course. But see, but now you're being a natural language demon. What do you mean by substantial? What do you mean by beneficial?
That it's more money.
Yeah, okay. Well, then I would. So then, like, what if it was two Legos? Would you say that it's substantially better?
No, he could easily just draw an arbitrary line of substantial at like 50 times or something like that. He could
50
easily just draw
Legos?
some arbitrary ass fucking line.
50 Legos? That's fine. No, we
I'm
can
not
bring
sure
that
if
in.
50 Lego. I'm not sure if 50 Legos are 50 times more than one Lego. I'm not sure about that math.
Wait,
If I have bulk
what?
Lego, like if I buy bulk 50 Legos, is it 50x one Lego? I'm not sure about that. However,
Okay,
listen, right?
whatever. You know what I meant. Yeah, but like
Yeah,
either way though,
I
either
can
way, like
grasp what you're stating, but
I
that's
can
just my
infinitely,
issue with the current discussion is that
sure,
it's
but
unclear as to how you'd ever demonstrate your point to be true, given this vague understanding of what it means for his goals to be met.
I mean, I think it's only vague because you're making it vague. Right? It doesn't have to be.
I think it is relatively vague, considering that Trump has gotten things done in virtue of the tariffs negotiation wise, and you're saying, well, that's not effective or some shit.
Again, right? Like in the same way that I just infinitely scrutinized your number, and then you said 50x, right? Let that be 50 Legos. Let it be 100 Legos. Would you still say that's okay? Would you change the amount of fuel? Right? Like it can get infinitely into the weeds, to the point where there's barely even a conversation happening, except for the semantics. Right? I want you to try to here. If you can articulate properly on my side of the debate, I might as well just concede. If you want to just like swap roles for a second, let me do what you're doing. I'll try to scrutinize you drawing some sort of arbitrary line. You're never going to get there.
You've lost the plot, bro. You're now
Wait,
asking me in the debate. You're asking me to devil's advocate for your position.
No. I just want you to. Actually, I guess that is kind of
You
what I'm
fucking
doing.
lost the plot here, bro.
But either way, though, right? What I'm saying is that like there is simply no way for me to have a conversation about
Well, I think
politics with you. It's just going to be
I think there's a relatively simple way.
semantics discussion.
You give what you mean, and you demonstrate the claim. By the way, if I was being overly semantic, then there was a lot of things that would have went differently, right? If you
I
noticed,
know.
your first goal, instead of like asking exactly what you meant by any of the terms, I just asked you for a source and we ran with it. So no one's being overly semantic.
Look, okay, yes,
If
but again,
there's something that's being stated that's sort of easily understandable in ordinary language, then I'm not going to scrutinize. However, when it comes to these sort of goal-oriented manners, obviously we need to know exactly our win is not the case that the goal is met.
Again. Okay, what I said before is I agree with you at some capacity, but when we take that down to its extremes, right? Like can we agree that on one hand, what you just said, or you would like if you wanted to do to be overly pedantic, we can agree that that's pedantic. Do we also agree that if Donald Trump did the Lego thing and you scrutinized me to that point where it's like it's a negotiation tactic, can you agree that would also be overly semantic?
I don't think that would be overly semantic. I think that'd be
okay. We're gonna have like a principle disagreement.
That would just obviously be like we'd agree on the semantics. We'd just be more pedants about the semantics. However, listen, right? I agree that if Trump got a fucking Lego sent in from China in virtue of the tariffs, then we wouldn't say that actually like substantially meets the goal. The keyword there is substantially that I used prior. And exactly what substantiality is, you can obviously give some like arbitrary cutoff or something along these lines. However, we can also just have like an intuitive grasp about what is substantial. And I think it clearly is the case that a decent amount of the negotiations that have occurred are substantial ones, unless you disagree with that.
Sorry, what did you mean by substantial?
Substantial in comparison to the Lego. So many more time is worth more than Lego.
Are we really gonna start using metrics of Legos?
You're the one who brought up the fucking Lego, buddy.
Well, yeah, but like, is this what you want to start? Like, you see how like insane this gets if we start evaluating it based on the Lego?
Okay, so let me just ask you this, right? You can give some vague number. How much money would Trump need to bring to America in order for his goals to be met? Like a ballpark.
It's not going to be measured in just money though. Economy is like so complicated, right? Because he could bring in a bunch of money. He could bring in a bunch of money, but then a bunch of people could go unemployed, and then I would say that that's bad. Or he could bring in a bunch of money.
So now you're talking about employment rates too. Like he has to bring in more jobs and shit.
I'm saying it should just be. I'm just saying I don't want him to do something that hurts the economy.
Yeah, but the question wasn't that. The question is like, what's your reasonable expectation of like how much money would it be cost to get his project to go up?
How much does he need to generate? I mean, this is like reasonable stuff here, right? We're talking about how much. We're talking about some sort of negotiation. And you're saying, well, obviously, if you brought in a Lego, that'd be too little money. So the question is like, what's the ballpark amount of money?
I get what you're saying, okay, and I would love to engage on that point. But to be clear, right, like if I say, oh, he brings in $1 billion, right, but then 80% of the United States goes unemployed as a result of that. Can we agree that would be like bad, right? Like, or I guess I don't know if we can agree that it'd be. Yeah, I mean, like, sure.
It wouldn't be in virtue of the goal for employment, and if that's what you mean by bad.
Well,
sure.
when I say yes, you see, there we go.
Yeah, but that's not what he's doing.
When I'm referring to whether or not the tariffs are effective, I'm speaking to the entire economy. I'm speaking to the United States at large. So it's not isn't just a monetary marker.
Then how the fuck do we ever establish your claim?
The same way that we would in like obvious terms, right? Like or I guess natural terms, right? Like if
See, let me just ask you this question, right?
in
So let's say there's
the Lego
people.
situation. Wait, hold on, wait. In the Lego situation, we can agree that that would be an ineffective negotiating tactic. Do we agree?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, why do you say that?
Because the goal for the tariffs, presumably from Trump, is not merely to get some small amount of money into the U.S. That would be ineffective in virtue of that goal. That goal is not being met in virtue of the tariffs. So what he used the tariffs for, is ineffective in that regard.
I mean, how do you know what he wanted from the tariffs? What if he like really wants that Lego?
Dude, what? I said presumably.
Um,
If somehow
sure.
in the hot thought experiment we suddenly somehow fucking find out that Trump really
Sure.
wanted the Lego or some shit, then obviously it changes.
Okay, well then I guess I can just say. Then I can just say presumably to an extent that Trump wanted. Does that sound good? Can we use that?
Well, I mean, if we use that, then I'm pretty sure it's going to be the case that the goal is being effectively met in virtue of negotiation tactics.
Why is that?
Because he's the one negotiating the deals, and the deals are not. We have no reason, at least so far, to believe that these deals are like the sort of deals comparable in some large scale to the Lego example.
Yeah,
he's like
I mean,
doing
sure.
deals.
Like, I get what you're saying, but again, like I can already see this going down some like insane semantic road.
All right, bro. So listen, right? People are telling us that this shit's getting boring, and we can wrap it up.
It
If you
is
want to
getting
go to closing
boring.
statements, we can go to closing statements.
Closing statement is I don't like this type of discussion. This is gay.
Bro, say your conclusion, bitch ass nigga.
Whoa. Anyways, just to be clear, I don't like this kind of conversation. I like a natural dialogue where we might actually have been able to exchange ideas. That's obviously not going to be happening today. I yield.
Yeah, I think we did exchange ideas. We exchanged pieces of evidence. This guy provided sources for his claim. It actually just turned out that on a large scale, what this guy was saying was actually just false in terms of what he meant by the terms. He contradicted himself admittedly, conceded, then randomly asked me to like debate his position for him in the middle of the debate. So I think that's just an automatic, substantive, rhetorical domination.
The reductio landed, by the way.
If everyone takes a look at polls, I think we all know who won this one.
Polls don't mean anything.
And everything.
But yo, we can have a debate with Zerion in this Barcelona guy, since Zerion's a Trump supporter.